So you have partnerships with Nike. You said Abercrombie, Timberland. How do you go about finding the right strategic partner for some of these brands? Because every brand is not going to fit what Harlem Fashion Road represents, and it won't, fit what the designer represents. So how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, sometimes, sometimes the brands will reach out to us. Sometimes we reach out to the brand. I think when we have that first conversation, we usually know. Our team know, like, are they about this life or are they not? Do they really want to support Black designers or, not really?
Trying to meet a quota.
So we usually know in like that first call, like, is this something that we want to move forward with? And then, following our instincts on that, sometimes it's hard because we've also turned down really, really big lucrative deals. But following our instincts on that, we've had like successful collaboration after successful collaboration. This one is doing really well. The Abercrombie one right now. We did one with Banana Republic a few years ago with designer Charles Harbison. That one beat all gross margin expectations by 3 digits. I can't give you the exact number, but blew it out the water. And so, collabs have been major for us, and I think a really great opportunity for the designers.
How does that work strategically without giving specific numbers, hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
I have the brand, I have the designer, we have your company in the middle.
Yep.
How does that work? Do they say this is a number that we're willing to pay to have the brand inside, and that happens, and do the sales dictate, the amount of royalties that people get? Like, how does this work?
Yeah. So we always wanted to be like transparent. So HFR gets like an agency fee and we get a licensing fee if they use the HFR logo on it, right? But then we negotiate the designer's fee separately because we always want like whatever needs to go to the designer needs to go to the designer. So we work that out with the designer. Sometimes we come to the table and the brand will say like, this is our number, and we like know what that number is. But in most situations, we're able to go to the designer and say, do you feel good about this number? This is the number we want to go to the brand with. So once we do that, the brand then, it flows through HFR, but the designer gets the number, like their whole number. We don't take anything from that. Then HFR charges our agency fee, and then we split royalties.
So you wrote a book called Small Business, Big Partnerships, and it talks about how to attract, secure, and maintain partnerships with big brands. So can you give us some insight on how to attract, secure, and maintain partnerships with big brands?
Absolutely. The sponsorship deck is so important. Like what you send out to brands. The other thing that's so important are relationships.
What should be in a sponsorship deck?
So when you're sending out a sponsorship deck, you're basically saying, so think about this. I want you to think, when somebody gives you a gift at a party and you see a gift that's like wrapped in this like beautiful wrapping paper with this bow on it, you assume that that's a nice gift. If you get a gift in like a brown paper bag, you're not as excited about that until maybe you look in and see what it is. Mm-hmm. So really your sponsorship proposal, your deck, your partnership proposal, it's like basically like how you're wrapping your company. So I always say people like, I know Canva is great and people love to work in Canva, but like get a professional graphic artist to design your sponsorship deck. And in that deck, you want to try to keep it to like 10 pages. You want to include like, your company, what you're doing, your audience, because at the end of the day, brands want to connect with your audience. The reason they're going to partner with you is because they think that they can get more business by working with you. They're going to get more business by working with you through your audience. So you always want to like make sure that your audience is highlighted, who they are, what they do, how they connect with that brand as well. And then any photos you've got from like recent events or partnerships that you've done, really important. Any press that you've gotten, you want to include that because you're basically saying to a brand, like, you want to have a conversation with me. And here is why. So you're building credibility with that deck. So and then of course in that deck, if you want to, you don't have to though, you can also include like, here's how you can work with us. So you may say, let's say if it's an event, you can sponsor an event at this level and here are all the things you get, and you can put pricing in there or you can not. I don't really like to send pricing out on our first decks. I prefer to I'll put here are all the things you get, but I don't really like to talk pricing yet.
Why is that? We've been in that space where we've had conversations. Should we send it out with the pricing or should we send it with
Yeah.
with it? And it's kind of like, it depends. Why don't you do it at first?
Because it's different. When I get on a, you seeing a deck, that's just, it's just a document versus me getting on the phone with you, showing you a video. Like I always show videos on our call, showing you a video of like, this is what the experience actually looks like. This is what it feels like. And I'm telling you what it is. Like that, people underestimate human connection. And if people get on the phone with you and they're feeling your vibe and they're loving what you're talking about and they're seeing the video and they're excited, it's a different conversation. Now pricing may not matter as much because now I've built this connection with you. And, I said the second thing is like that connections piece. Like a lot of times people think, oh, I'm just pitching a brand. You're not just pitching a brand. You're pitching John at that brand or Paul at that brand or Sarah at that brand. Like it's that person that has to want to partner with you.
So what inspires you to create this masterpiece? Was it after years of seeing this or being to ask the same questions, having trials and tribulations, I got to put something together?
Yeah. So I wrote a book. I actually did. This is actually a follow-up to the first one. I did a book called Sponsored. When I was looking to get sponsorship for our events, I really couldn't find the information. Like it was all very generic. Nobody was really telling me like what to do, how it worked. It's very like a secret agency society in knowing how to partner with brands. And I'm like, there should be a book out that just tells you how this works. Like, because if you go get a brand partnership, that doesn't take anything from me, right? So like, how can we all win? And so this was really the follow-up to that because I wrote that book in 2017. And I think the biggest partnership I had that at that time was probably like maybe $150,000 for something. We've far surpassed that since then. And so I really wanted to write like a follow-up to say, here's all the things I've learned since then.